So when we're talking about apology, especially in the context of a mediation table, but also in terms of your life in general, we've all had an experience of an apology, right? What do you look for in an apology? What counts as an apology for you? The what? Sincerity. So give me an example of insincerity. I'm sorry. Okay.
I'm sorry you feel that way.
Yeah. I'm sorry you're an idiot. You know.
I'm sorry if I offended you.
If I offended you. Yeah. I'm sorry you think I offended you. Right. So yes.
President Clinton's apology to the North Korean president.
Yes. Yes. That's an example of insincerity, right? What did he say?
It's not been disclosed, but whatever it was.
We didn't believe. Nobody believed it. There you go. Well, and you could state the case that an apology from any politician would qualify as insincere. I'm not quite so sure.
Not being judgmental.
No, not today. Leave the judgment at the door. All judgmental people will be whipped. All right, so, one of the things that always frustrates me, somebody comes and says, I'm sorry. I don't want you to be sorry. I want you to change. Right? So, in what ways are you going to change? That's what I want. And now we're into, I can't change anybody. I don't have the power to change anybody. People can only change themselves. I can't make somebody do something. So at what point then does the word I'm sorry mean anything at all? And of course, we know people that say it so easily. They'll just walk by you and forget to grin and go, I'm sorry. It comes off their lips so easily. It's almost like, how you doing? Nobody cares when how you doing.
Apology is more for the person who's giving it.
Good point.
Not the person who's receiving it.
Say more.
It's not about that. It's about you owning whatever that is, and then whatever they do about that is what they do.
Is up to them.
Absolutely.
So, and we talk about forgiveness in that same way, which is what we're going to talk about, because the flip side of apology is forgiveness. So let's look at repair. Repair skills. An apology would be a component of repair. Hopefully the idea of having an apology would be to make things better, to reconnect. Somehow my behavior has caused a disconnection, a brokenness in our relationship, and the apology is a repair attempt. Repair is an inside job, on both parts. The person doing the apology and the person possibly getting the apology. Speaking the truth. So what we're going to start with is honesty. One of the fundamental cornerstones of apology and repair is honesty. Now, who are we being honest with? Ourselves, definitely, and hopefully honest with the other person. So if I say I'm sorry, do the words have any weight to them? Do they mean something? Can they be trusted? So speak the truth. And now we got to figure out what the truth is. I'm sorry you're an idiot. Well, that's the truth. You are an idiot. So nothing I can do much about that. Speak the truth in such a way that I manifest or display who I am. See, it's not about, are you telling me the truth? It's about, do I manifest? Do I represent? Is the truth an aura that follows me everywhere? And that entirely depends on what I believe and what I value. If I don't value relationship, if I don't value connection, then apology is going to definitely be insincere. You're either not going to get the words, I'm sorry, and there are people that will never use those words. They've never made a mistake. They will never make a mistake. They're not going to admit they've made a mistake, and I'm sorry will never leave their lips. You get a clear idea of what they believe and what they value. We see that at the mediation table as well, right? How many times have you heard someone go, well, I want an apology from them? And you think, I've had this, oh boy, there goes the mediation. We might as well just pack up and go home because they're not going to, right? And so there tends to be a wall that goes up. What, you want me to apologize for what, right? And now we're on a whole another level of dispute.
Or when they receive the apology, now it's not enough still.
Exact.
Your son slapped my son in what?
Yep. Or, there's the qualifications of how it sounded. Did it sound sincere? There's this whole list of criteria, and you've got to tick them all off. And so it'd be nice if, okay, what kind of apology would you be looking for? How would it sound? If you were going to apologize in this situation, how would you say it? Yeah. And if they did that, would you then, and then we're up to that flip side again, would you forgive? And then that's a whole nother can of worms to open up. Self-deception is an expensive habit. So if we're going to talk about truth, then we need to talk about self-deception. Self-deception is huge. Because a lot of times we ourselves, it's painful to admit that I've made a mistake. It's painful to admit that I've hurt you. Or to hear from somebody that I have not been the person I want to be or that I try very hard to live up to be. Because, well, it's rare. I can't say we never do it, but it's rare that we intentionally go about hurting people, right? I mean, there are those occasions when I have intentionally, right? Okay, never mind. But self-deception. So once we start deceiving ourselves, then it becomes a very, very expensive in a number of different levels. Relationally, professionally, business-wise, financially, this can be a huge problem. So self-deception can be a difficult thing to manage. And it will be an honesty blocker. Another honesty blocker that will manifest itself in grandiosity. Grandiosity is someone who needs no one else. This is the person who says, I've never made a mistake. This person is repair avoidant. They have an empathy deficiency toward others, right? I can live my life perfectly fine without you. I don't need anybody. In fact, our culture has a tendency to raise our men this way. To raise men in such a way that they are disconnected, stay disconnected, and then we expect to build families and communities that way. It's kind of difficult to do. I don't need you, you need me. In fact, so don't press me. You press me for an apology and you're on your own, bub, right? So the other extreme is shame. This is the person that is repair prone. This is the person that every other word is I'm sorry. I'm sorry I'm breathing. I'm sorry I'm in your space. I'm sorry I'm in your visual way, right? I mean, just everything is, I'm sorry, I'm sorry, I'm sorry, all the time. And the words completely lose themselves. This is a person who has an empathy deficiency toward themselves. They don't recognize the value they bring to the universe. That the very space they exist in is unique space that will never be filled by anybody else, and once they are gone, cannot be replaced. They miss that point completely. So there's two ways to deceive yourself. You either have way too much value, or you don't have enough value. We have a tendency to reward this one, especially among women in our culture. Self-sacrifice, be servers, help everybody else, and then you'll be a wonderful, valued human being. When in fact, you are valued just because you exist. So this is person, I don't need me, I need you. Now, seems to me like the perfect relationship would be to get the grandiose and the shame together. That would be a great marriage, don't you think? No. Yes, it can, and it can go both ways in terms of abuse, because shame can be abusive in passive-aggressive ways. So, yes, both of these will create a different form of abuse. Both are dishonest. Both are lies. And if you are deceiving yourself in this way, it's going to be hard for you to be honest and speak the truth. So if you're going to speak the truth as far as apology, you've got to sit somewhere between grandiosity, which builds up walls around them. Right? I am a protected island of isolation and independence. Or the shame, which is broken fences. Anybody can trample through my territory and make claim, stake claim to the territory, can move in, take care of everything, tell me what to do, and tell me who I am. Somewhere between there is honesty. So, if it's I don't need you, I need me, and I don't need me, I need you, is dishonest, we got to find something in the middle. Honesty may require a change in thinking about who you are. Now notice, we're starting a presentation on apology, and repair with your ability to know who you are. As you said earlier, the apology comes from you. That's what we're looking at. So who are you? That's what we're looking for. Here's the truth. I need me and I need you. Both. There's a balance between there, the yin and the yang. Both are necessary. That's a balanced person, to be able to live in both of those. So, repair, and honesty repair, is about understanding your value, your infinite value, your unique value in this universe, in this space, in this time, right now. Okay? Because I think some of you have heard me say, I don't know if everybody's heard this, but there has never been anybody like you in all of history. The combination of your unique skills, talents, experiences, insights, understanding has never been repeated in the past. It will never be repeated in the future, ever. So when you are gone, this package that consists of you is gone forever. It will never be available in the universe again. That's the value of your uniqueness. So when you are apologizing, when you are creating a repair moment of reconnection, you are connecting infinite value to this person. You've got to understand that. You got to understand that. If you lie to yourself, then lying to others will become second nature. And that's where it starts. Lying to others doesn't start with lying to others. Lying to others starts with lying to yourself. And the definition of second nature is practice without thought. Okay? No, I'm worthless. No, I'm not important. That's a lie. You start lying to yourself. I don't need you. I'm independent. I can be self-sufficient is a lie. Okay? Both of those. So repair takes courage. And it takes humility. Courage to actually believe and own your valued, unique space. This is who I am. And when I come to you for connection, with connection, I am connecting infinite value, literally to infinite value. That's what you're doing. And humility that says, I am infinitely connected. You are connected to everybody on this planet. And we're starting to see that more and more with the world getting smaller and smaller and smaller. There are people following me on Twitter that I will never know or meet. Who are you? Why are you doing this, right? You are infinitely connected, which means the chances of you breaking the connection is more likely than not. The chances of you making a mistake, the chances of you hurting somebody else unintentionally is huge. So you have infinite value and you are infinitely connected. You are going to need to repair some relationship somewhere, sometime. If nothing else, you will need to repair the relationship with yourself. Is this apologizing to yourself? Wow. How about that? So, honesty with history. Over time, if we practice speaking the truth, here's what it creates. Honesty plus history creates trust. Do you trust yourself? Do you trust your instincts in a situation? That voice or those voices you hear inside, do you trust them to follow them? Do they guide your decision-making process? Do you trust yourself? Do others trust you? Now, in the workplace, I get this all the time. Somebody does something, they hurt me, and I don't trust them ever again. Trust is a weird kind of thing. If I know, take for example being late. Okay? I know people that are 15 minutes late to every single thing they do. I can trust them that they're going to be 15 minutes late. Are they untrustworthy? So, the pattern of behavior communicates the trust, not the single event. Okay. So someone can misbehave, and I can be hurt, but I can recognize that that is not their characteristic. This is an exception to the rule of their behavior. Yes, it hurt me, but do I need to mistrust them? I had a situation with my daughter, my oldest daughter. This was back when she was like 16, 17, right? And you know how they can be independent and rebellious and sneak out of the house and go someplace they weren't supposed to, right? And, of course, found out about it. And then the question comes up, I will not be able to trust you. And at that time in my life, I would have told you that I would never be able to trust her again. But that wasn't true. She actually changed her behavior. Our relationship changed in such a way. She worked incredibly hard, and she rebuilt the trust. She created a pattern of behavior that communicated to me. Did she screw up once? Yes. Could she screw up again? Yes. Do I trust that she'll screw up again? Probably, but I can trust her at the majority of her behavior describes her character. So trust is a weird kind of entity. I don't think we pay enough attention to it. So then let's talk about apology. What about the mediation table with trust? That's usually why someone discredits. That's one of the criteria, right? I want them to apologize. Well, would you believe it if they told you? No. Do you trust that the apology would be sincere? No. Well, then why are you asking for an apology? I want to punish them. I want to see them squirm. I want them to admit, that they, now it just becomes a game at that point. It's not about repair, it's about punishment. So apology. Practicing a willingness to change, which is what my daughter did, worked very, very hard at it. I was very impressed over a long period of time. To change and grow in order to better manifest. Remember that honesty was manifesting that truth, that aura? Better manifest or display honesty, integrity toward myself and others. Notice we cannot remove the myself. It's not just about relationship to another. The relationship with the other starts here with the relationship with you. That whole principle, loving others as you love yourself.
I just want to add, Rick.
Go.
And the mediator has to probe enough for them to get to the trust.
Yes.
Because they come in maybe not wanting to get there.
Correct.
So the mediator has to have the skill base to get there.
Right.
Otherwise, it won't happen.
So how would you do that?
Well, first of all, the mediator establishes a foundation of trust, period.
Right.
With herself.
Exactly.
Herself.
Yes.
All right, this is where I am, this is what we're doing.
Mm-hmm.
And then, once that's established, then you probe enough.
Yes.
Not agitating, but
No.
you probe.
Right.
And they get there. And you identify when they're not there.
Yes. Yes. Anybody want to add to that? I see nodded heads. Yes. Shaking heads, nodding heads. I never get that. This is shake head, this is nod head. I'm confused. Right? Any add to that? Your experience? True? So the very first moment of trust in that mediation session, what do they trust? Two things they should be able to trust. And it starts with your opening statement. Yeah, they're going to trust you. You come across confident and credible. So they're trusting. The second thing they're going to start to trust is the process. And they get a sense that there's something going on here that they can lean on and they can trust. And you're telling them you can do this. You can trust this process. You can trust me. I'm going to be neutral. And that starts to create an atmosphere of trust so that if you do probe, it may be able to bleed over. Maybe. Right. Maybe.
I just want to add, in 15 years, the process has worked. I'm not going to declare. The process has worked. About 3 weeks ago, it did not work. I've never experienced that. Two people who really were arguing about a mutual boyfriend.
Yes.
But it never came to the table. So they were willing to get put out of housing.
Ooh.
Based on knocking on walls. That's what they both said the issue was.
Right.
She knocks on my wall and harasses me. And I kept saying, so are you willing to get put out of your housing for knocking on walls and not sharing a common hallway and stairwell? But I knew from somebody in administration that it was about a man.
Yes.
We never got there. So they will probably get put out.
Interesting.
It never got there.
Never got there.
And that was new. I had never experienced that.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad you got a chance to experience
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And the part of the process that did work is self-determination.
Yeah.
They got a right to make a decision and determine their future. And you respected that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Had you really pushed and tried to get them to see, then you would have stepped out of the process. Yep. Good point.
And they probably would have been fighting.
Yes. No, they're determining their own future, even if it's a difficult one. And maybe it becomes difficult enough. It's like an addict. Sometimes you got to hit bottom first before you start to realize your choices need to change. So, practicing a willingness to change. Maybe even your behavior towards yourself. So, the goal of an apology, I did something hurtful. I may not have known until you told me. I may be doing things now that over a period of time has been hurtful, but I didn't know it was hurting you. An example I just read in a book the other day, in fact, I quote the guy here later, and it's credited in the back, called Yearnings. He was consistently showing up late to everything. He was a rabbi, and so he had an important congregation, and so he had all these reasons to be late. So they had a celebration, I don't remember what the celebration was. His wife put it on, had all of his great, best, wonderful, closest friends at this party for him, and he was an hour and a half late. It was a dinner, hour and a half late. And of course for him, they all knew he does this all the time, but this time she rebuked him. Okay, and that was the first time he knew the impact of his behavior on somebody else. And he needed to apologize, which meant change his behavior. Okay? So to make a commitment to change that behavior. I will change behaviors that deal with the causes of the damage, not the symptoms. So I may be causing difficulties, but what's the cause of the damage? Disrespect in that particular case. I'm not respecting you all's time. I'm putting my time as more important than anybody else's time. And so that's a shift in thinking about changing the behavior. What's an apology? Yes. Yes. You got it. So what blocks apologies? What are some of the things that stand in the way of an apology? And the number one thing is a perfectionistic mindset. And a perfectionistic mindset looks like this. I should be perfect. You should be perfect. I should never make a mistake. You should never make a mistake. So it's like, oh my gosh, I have to apologize. Oh my gosh, I hurt somebody. Sounds like a surprise. You should be living your life as though expect to hurt people. You're infinitely connected. You are going to hurt somebody. You are going to have a decision or a moment or a reaction that is going to break connection. Expect it. Don't be surprised. The perfectionistic mindset, well, now you shouldn't behave that way. You hurt me. You should never hurt me, is a lie. That is dishonest. People will hurt you, especially if you're connected. And guess what? You're infinitely connected, so you have an infinite number of chances of being hurt. It's not fun. It's not enjoyable. We don't seek people. Well, there are some people that go out and seek relationships. Hi, I want to be abused. Will you go study with me? There are people that seek those kind of relationships, but to never be wrong and always on course is a myth and a misnomer. And to live that way will kill you and kill your relationships.
But what if that behavior is welcome, like in the workplace?
Yeah. Or
if that perfectionist is a good producer, but they do have that behavior deficiency, but management feels that they can work around that, you get used to it because this is a good worker.
right. In other words, the bad behavior gets rewarded.
Yeah.
And rewarded behavior gets repeated. And now you're stuck with, well, now you have to make some choices, what you were going to do. You can work out a contract and say, you can approach this person and say, look, we need to talk about this. The way, what management does is one thing, what they accept, but, this is my space. These are my boundaries. This is what I expect. Now, you can't control that person. You can't make them do anything. But they may be willing to go into a contract with you to change how they relate to you. If not, then you've got to make some decisions. I mean, you can be just as much of a pain as anybody else if you want to live your life that way, or you decide to leave and pick something healthier, if that's an option for you. Any other advice for a situation like that? I mean, that was kind of broad stroked. It'd be much easier to know the specifics, but yes.
I don't have any advice, but I appreciate the question because I have to deal with this tomorrow morning.
Oh.
I have two employees, both do very well in both areas, but the attitudes have escalated to they're unbearable. They can't stand to be around each other. There's no civil resolve. But, this is a constant paper trail from the managers, and I'm like, stop. I'm just going to step in and do a mediation process with them, and we'll just see what happens tomorrow. I feel very good that it's going to come out well, but I know going in they hate each other. But the managers love their work.
Yes.
It's bringing in the money.
Yeah, call us. Yes.
What happens in that situation, they're not a team player. You have to look at the good of whatever because they're doing two separate things. And if they really become a team player, then the outcome would be better because they're really, in order to be a good leader, you have to be a good follower.
Mm-hmm.
And if they can't follow, actually, they need each other.
Right.
Two people need each other to close the deal.
Right. So they're really not really as good as they think they are because they're really undermining the company.
Yes. And so the leadership of that company has not done a cost assessment because the cost of the conflict is costing them more than the benefit to the work that they're getting. But I want to admonish you to consider something. I got a call from a manager at CDC one day. And he goes, I got two employees. This was kind of frustrating. He gave me 15 minutes. He says, I got these two employees in exactly the same situation. These two people hate each other. There's a problem. You're not at CDC, are you? Okay, good. Same two guys. And he says, and I'm doing a review for them in 15 minutes. They're coming to the office. Can you give me any insights in, conflict management? And I ask him this, what is your need? As the manager, what is your need? He had never considered the question. He was focusing on how to change their behavior. I said, there's 3 sets of needs in that room. What are your needs? If these two employees are not willing to meet your need, correct.
Period.
Correct. You've got to take into consideration what your needs are. So I did a short, as fast as I could, need exploration on him. And it changed the complete attitude of how he was going to look. Look, here's what I need. You two need to be doing this, this, and this in order to meet my need. If not, you're telling me you don't want to be here anymore.
Rick, I want to just add, I was thinking about it as you were talking. I work for a chief of police, and we were just having this conversation. He said, there is a certain way, he said, I respect everybody's personality and where they are. But there's a certain way you have to perform as an officer, period. If you're not willing to do that, you got to go. And it gets into the whole corporate culture thing.
Yes.
Because what happens is if management continues to allow the behavior, it's going to be more than just those two. It's going to be some more twos and some more twos.
Right, and that's what I explained to our president yesterday. We can mediate here, or we can mediate in front of the EO.
Yeah, exactly. So include your needs in that session tomorrow, because you're a leverage point in that room. You're not just a third-party neutral. Okay? Good job. Well done. All right, so perfectionist mindset will get in the way, if not perfect. Here's what happens. If I come with the attitude of a perfectionistic mindset, everyone should always be on course. You should never hurt me. Then when you do, I have 2 options available. Punish or apologize. And what are we more likely to do? Punish. You shouldn't have hurt me to begin with. So, and one of the mistakes I made in my life in poor relationship skills was that I would punish first and then accept the apology. And of course, you can imagine the harm that created for my relationships professionally and personally. So I had to change. a lot of things about how I looked at stuff and about how I managed my own hurt and hurting others as well. So, punish, and then once you've suffered enough, okay, now I'll accept your apology. Go ahead and apologize. And they would apologize. Like, okay, are we good? No, we're not good. You know, why? Because you've punished me for, whatever amount of time that was. So, yeah, here's the problem with punishment or apology, and it has everything to do with worthiness. You do not apologize to someone worthy of punishment, and you don't punish somebody worthy of an apology. Okay? It's you got to choose which one you're going to do. If the person is connected and you value that relationship and you want to reestablish the connection, punishment is not the way to go. Okay? So they're either worthy of punishment or they're worthy of an apology. And the measure is the relationship. Now, there's some folks you don't need to be connected to anymore. So at that point, you can pick which one you want to do. But for the most part, infinite connections, you're going to be some that you value and want. So apology repair. It's about valuing and appreciating yourself, others, and relationships. So when we're at that mediation table, and we have two people, typically one of them shows up hurt, right? They initiated the process. They filed some complaint. They've raised some stink. Or in a process like this, they punish each other back and forth. I mean, that's basically what they're doing, punishing each other back and forth. Then how do we get from valued relationships out of a sense of filing a complaint based on I was hurt? And then the other person's mad because you filed the complaint and you've raised this whole stink and now we're all in this mess together. So how do we get to valued relationships in a mediation process?
We talk about the positive things in a relationship.
Possibly.
What's bondage really an issue?
Yes.
If that's the issue.
Historically, what was this relationship before the event? Okay. Did you like that? Is it something you would like to have again? If you would, what would we have to do today to get that back? Or go ahead.
Their strengths, individualized strengths.
Together or, and so,
And separately.
Okay.
Everyone has strengths individually, but then you have strengths together as a team.
that's right.
So I
So
think it's important to look at those.
more than the sum of the parts. It's not that we're just the two of us together. We are better together than separate. Good. Yes.
Help them identify common needs.
Very good. Like what?
Well, I'm in the education arena, civil rights enforcement. So we'll get parents who have children in the school system complaining about administrators, teachers. So when we bring them to the table, the student is always the common interest in getting the student the best education.
Yes.
And the parents happy with that, the school can focus on that as opposed to the conflict they have with each other.
Yes. Not just the past, but also the future, because that's what you're describing. What do we want for this child? What do we want our relationship to be so that we can get that future, whatever that need for that child is? The future can also, what do you want in the future? Can we get there together? Do you see the future of us separate? Do you see and even if you aren't, you may stay connected, but not at the same level. So the relationship can change and still stay connected. An excellent example is my divorce. I mean, I'm still very connected to Diane. Diane and I still negotiate regularly over parenting. We still have, our youngest child is in college, so we're still negotiating money, right? Number one cause of conflict in a couple, right? And we go into divorce thinking, I remember hearing this, reading in a book somewhere or something, or one of those divorce seminars that you go through, right? And they say, don't expect your former spouse to be a better person than they were in the marriage. And I realized, I was expecting that, yeah. So yeah, even though the connection may be different, we're still very, very connected. So valuing relationship. The other way to do this in a mediation session is you, as a mediator, modeling valued relationships. Everybody in that room is important to you. Everybody's interests, thoughts, pains, concerns, insights, misperceptions, all of those are important to you. You are literally creating connection yourself and modeling connection, which is why I keep reiterating, if you really want to be a great mediator in this chair, you've got to understand how to be connected to yourself. You've got to understand connection. So that's why we keep coming back to you as a mediator. It's not just about having a process and bringing it to the table and expecting this process to do some sort of magic thing that if I just follow step A, B, C, D in the right order, boom, things will happen. No. You are the model in that room. Yes?
I find almost invariably what works well when there's a lot of hostility, either two-part hostility or one, is to flatter the person at some appropriate point. Usually
Yes.
after I've heard enough conversation that I know there's a father or a mother, or they have a child with them waiting outside the courtroom, or they're an artist or a sports person, I'll say, do you want to leave this place with that anger in your gut?
Mm-hmm.
Do you want any change at all? And is this vengeance? You can do it.
Yes.
I'd probably do the same thing. Usually I say something like that at caucus, not with the other person.
Correct. Good.
But you've got a choice here. Things can be better, things can be worse. That's your neighbor. You swear out the arrest warrant against her, against him. Madder neighbor, an unhappier neighbor, if that's possible.
Right.
And then your kids are fighting or what have you. Don't you want things to be better? Do you want to spend your talent, your knowledge, whatever I've heard that comes back and flatters them on wasting time here today, wasting your energy? You can do that.
Yes.
The judge might decide to put that person in irons. The judge might decide you'll go be put in irons.
That's right.
It happens.
Yeah, yeah.
So what would you like to do? All of a sudden the light dawns.
Yes.
Not immediately, but once they feel I'm okay, that person isn't okay, but the problem's going to continue.
Right.
And I have a choice.
Yes. Yeah, you're identifying their connection with themselves. I mean, how much energy is this taking from you? How much is this impacting your health? What kind of a person do you want to walk away with as today, just you? That anger in your gut, how long do you want to keep it? I mean, that's a beautiful description of connection with yourself. From a business point of view, I'll often ask you got two people, business owners, how much is this costing you in terms of business? I mean, you're here instead of your office. If you go forward, you're going to have to take another day off of work. Just from a financial point of view, is this a good business decision? So it's another way to create that sense of, where are you and what impact is this having on you? Excellent, excellent point. So valuing relationships. To appreciate or not appreciate yourself is your choice. And that's exactly what you were telling them, right? You can do whatever you want. I mean, you've got the power. And the outcome is determined by the choice you make next. Do you want that pain and suffering in your gut? Do you want things worse? Do you want this neighbor to get even a worse relationship? You get the deciding factor. It's your choice. It's always your choice. And again, just to reiterate on the backside, we're all energized here to try and build that repair, to create the agreement, to get some sort of resolution. But I just need to back up just a moment and remind you, parties have a right to be stupid. Okay. That's self-determination. We will allow them to make what we think are harmful choices because self-determination is a cornerstone of our industry. Okay? So apology basics. Accepting that we all need continual course corrections. Accepting that we all need this. Now, this is the definition of grace. You acted like an idiot, and I do too sometimes, right? I mean, that's grace. To recognize that I'm no different than you. I've screwed up and people have forgiven me. You've screwed up and hurt me. I can forgive you. Okay. We all need continual course correction along the way. Sometimes we don't even need it. We don't even know we need it. Somebody comes and says, and you need to appreciate those folks. If someone comes to you, I mean, you're going to go confront two people tomorrow. the number one reason you're going to confront those two people is you value the relationship. If you didn't value the relationship, fire them. You wouldn't even have to talk to them. You know, they just show up tomorrow and their box, the desks are in boxes and they're escorted out. Anybody that comes and confronts you about the pain that you've caused them loves you. They want to have a relationship with you. They want to be in connection with you. So somebody files a suit, they want to be in connection with you. just a little bit longer, right? And I've seen divorced couples, right, that stay connected, God, longer than, even stronger than they were connected married. They hate each other. And they are constantly punishing each other back and forth. And they are staying connected. Part of the process of a healthy divorce is detachment. It's hard, it's painful, it takes a lot of time. But that detachment is part of that not punishing anymore. Healing, yes. Part of that not punishing anymore. So these are the apology steps. If you're going to break it down into a series of steps, this is what most people are looking for. Recognize you did something wrong. Let them know you did something wrong. You hurt me. No, I didn't, but I'll apologize anyway. No, you're right. I did not mean to hurt you. I did. Forgive yourself. Notice that one's first. Yes, I am capable of hurting other people. Yes, I can break connection. I don't want to. It's not the kind of person I like to be, but occasionally that's what I do. I can be an idiot sometimes. No. I am sorry that I'm not going to. Yeah, no. But one of the things that I'm hoping to do is to be able to eventually get on webcast that we are doing this. You are on a computer and you can see this, and it will be available. Recall specific behaviors, right? The general "I'm sorry" or "I'm sorry you're an idiot." I should have called you. I didn't call you. I thought I was, doing a good thing by not calling you. I did not think about the kind of impact it would have on you not calling you. I apologize for not calling you. Okay. So recall specific behaviors. Reveal how bad you feel. Our connection is broken. I don't like that. I don't want our connection to be broken. I am saddened that I have hurt you. This is not what I like. This is not the way I want our relationship to be. Now, most of us are not good at talking about, well, I don't know about most of us. I have not always been good about talking about our feelings. I know a number of men and women who are not good at talking about their feelings. So this one can often be skipped, overlooked. The apology will still work, but it can have a longer lasting or quicker effect if you can talk about the fact that you acknowledge that this is broken and are saddened that or disappointed in yourself or whatever, but still go back and forgive yourself. Negotiate new behavior. Next time, when I'm in this situation, I will call. I understand now the impact that it had. I will not do this behavior again. Okay? And that's the sincerity part. I will genuinely try and change. I will genuinely make every effort to change my behavior because I do not want to continue to break this connection. And then demonstrate change. Next time, call. Do it. Do what you negotiated. Do what you said you were going to do. If not, apologize and say, look, now we've got a whole new negotiation. I know I said I would, I didn't, and I just don't know why it's so important. I understand that I've screwed up again, and I feel bad that I've broken the connection. So you may just continue to spiral this down if you're not careful. Past. You remember I told you conflict has 3 temporal orientations, past, present, future. I made a mistake. I feel badly. I will change my behavior. Negotiate that change. This also actually, just for a little advertising note here, this is the 3 skills necessary, right? Past, present, future. This is communication skills. These are resolution skills. These are negotiation skills. Those 3 skills are necessary. So it follows that temporal orientation of conflict. Repair takes courage to change myself and to humility to recognize continual course corrections. I'm not always going to get it right. Forgiveness, there are 3 types. I'm going to start with the one that everyone wants. Each type of forgiveness has everything to do with the power of the past. The one forgiveness that everybody asks for, looks for, and wants to have is past be gone. I want the apology to accomplish the fact that this never happened. I wish we could erase it and make the pain go away. To wipe the slate clean. The past does not exist. That we could go back and do this as though you never screwed up. That's the apology everyone is looking for. That is generally the definition that everyone puts on apology. Cancels out the offense, and we are made whole. Not again, but we are made whole in such a way that there was never even a break. There is only one person that can give this apology, can give this forgiveness. That is God. And I thank God. Right? That is the only place you're going to get this. You are not going to get this across the table at a mediation. You are not going to get this in any relationship you have. So thank God there's 2 other types of apologies. Although this is what everybody looks for. Well, it's not sincere. I'm still hurt. I still have pain. I can't believe you did this to me. I did not expect you, of all people, to do this to me. Right? Go ahead.
It surprises me because in the Office of Civil Rights, when we do resolution agreements,
Mm-hmm.
you know, we can't touch the feelings part, but behaviorally in terms of what people do,
Mm-hmm.
we ask them sometimes to wipe the slate clean if
Right.
there was a problem. We say, well, you're going to remove that discipline from his record. It will
Right.
not be there anymore. And we consider that to make the child situation, for example, whole again.
To make it whole again, right.
So, yes, but
Yes.
but you're right. I mean, I agree with you with respect to the fact that the past will always be there. To some
And it's not just the
try
past.
for it, but
That's right. It's not just the past, it's the power that that past has on you. This not only does not have any power, it does not even exist anymore. That's the, I mean, it's so, this is what everybody talks about, forgive and forget. You know? Right. And so most people talk about, well, the highest form of forgiveness is to, yes, that is the highest form. And I don't know many human beings that, in many relationships, that can maintain that kind of.
What do you think about it in the court system when a person is made whole, they're made whole through money or something being restored that was taken away? So it's not the forgiveness that is restorative, it's, you know, take that out of the child's folder, you know, give them a clean start, but it doesn't, you know, erase it, it doesn't erase it.
Which is the second one. The past is irrelevant to the future. And that is that whole thing, relinquishing claim or debt. I will give up my claim or give up the debt you owe me for the harm you did. If you give me $1,000 or give me $10,000 or $1 million, or if you give me something in exchange, I will relinquish the debt. This is also the one that people do most. You know, somebody borrows your pen, doesn't give it back, and they go, oh, I'm sorry, I kept your pen. Don't worry about it. You know, this is the part that says, this past event will have no long-lasting effect on me or our relationship. Okay? Forget about it. No big deal. That's that common little, you know, somebody just a little, we do this every day. Okay? People.
You know what? Some people manipulate in that. They expect you to do like the common thing, so they're actually doing things with a set mind and head, knowing that you're going to say, oh, that's okay.
Yes. And it's one of, that's a terrible way to live. I kind of do that on the other side, and that is it's better to ask forgiveness than to ask permission, and that's what this is. You know, well, yeah, I did it. You know, can you forgive me? Yeah, no big deal. Or, you know, yes, I can forget about that. Or it's not going to have a lasting effect. And some of us get quite far on that principle. And here's the third one, and this is the one that probably most of us live with in most of our relationships. And this is, the past is always there. the question is, what influence is it having on me? This kind of forgiveness is a process. It's not a result. The first one and the second one can be a result. Pay me, debt done, no big deal, right? Or the first one, slate clean, never happened. But this one is a process. You hurt me. That is never going to go away, all right? But I can forgive. I cannot let that influence who I am and not let that influence our relationship. It's not as though it never happened. This is forgive and remember. But the remembering isn't the kind of thing that generates punishment all the time. It is now an integration of this past event into a new me and a new us. The best example I can give is my father. Okay? For various and sundry reasons not to go into here, I did not enjoy my childhood and my relationship with my father. Okay? About the age of 40, right, he's getting older, I'm getting older, I needed to let some of this go. So we're right back to who's the forgiveness for? And, you know, I'm 54, my father's 75, right? And the time is getting shorter, and I can choose to have a relationship with this man now. But the man that I wanted to have a relationship with, I will never get. That is gone forever. I will never get that. But I can have a relationship with this man here today. So,
Rick, I just have to ask.
yes.
My father was very abusive to my mother for 17 years. I saw that from my first 13 years of life. At age 32, the Lord said to me, you need to forgive him for you.
Yeah.
Now, whether I have a relationship with him or not is not...
Correct.
That wasn't the issue for me.
Right.
It was, let me forgive, let me talk to him, and we're done.
Yep. It's about the power the past has. Does it hold you? Does it not? Yes.
But did you ever speak to your father?
Yes,
And Adam, and tell him how you felt?
I did.
Did he have an explanation?
Yes.
I mean, one that you wouldn't understand as a child.
I didn't have that conversation until we were 40, till I was 40.
Right.
Yes.
But I think there are a lot of men in your same situation that don't realize that your father was out making a living, he didn't
Right.
have time to play ball, he was
Right.
something that you can understand now that you can understand.
I can understand, and it's kind of like, you know, the understanding is more like this. My father was doing the best he knew how to do. It's, you know, that's not satisfying. But I can accept that, but it's not satisfying. I'm still lost something that I wished I could have had and I will never be able to get. But that does not hold me today. My relationship with him now.
At all. That's not a certain level of maturity.
Right.
But this type of forgiveness comes with a certain level of maturity that you couldn't necessarily go through this process at 19.
Right.
You know.
Yes.
Because you don't have those life experiences. But as you get a little bit older, and things always change, and we realize that the eyes we view the world today is not the eyes we had 25 years ago. So it will take a little maturity to go through this process of forgiveness.
Yes.
Versus some of the other stuff.
Exactly. And the number one thing that made it possible for me to get to that level of maturity and make this move at 40 was my own disappointment in myself as a father. I was not the father I wanted to be. See? Yeah. And I worked very hard, very, very hard, and I succeeded. I can tell you right now, I succeeded. I was not going to make the same mistakes my father did, and I did not. I made a whole new set of my own. And that's part of that maturity process. This is the kind of apology and forgiveness you're going to get at that table. That's about all you're going to get, and about all you can hope for. If you can learn to live with this and understand the power that it has, you will be better at the mediation table managing forgivenesses and managing apologies. Last part. The blockers, dishonesty and negative attachment. Some people will not forgive because they only know how to be attached negatively. And they can't give it up. Repair. This is the last slide. You need to understand, we are never permanently guilty, and we are never permanently clean. Okay? You can learn to live within that yin and yang, that balance of both. Then you'll have the honesty, the humility, the courage to apologize and forgive. Questions, thoughts, concerns, frustrations? Did I go back? Yes. Dun, dun, dun. One more, sure. One more. No? This one? All right, that one's good. Yeah, I'm sorry. Final thoughts, yes. Yeah, if I did that. That's right. Right. That's part of that. I didn't make a mistake. Right.
But isn't it possible to acknowledge that you may have hurt someone because of what they thought you did?
Yes.
That you didn't actually do that. So if I did that in your view,
Your perception.
The behavior can't be questioned, but the impact can. That's really what's happening. Yes, I didn't make the phone call. I'm sorry if not making the phone call hurt you. And what you're doing is denying the impact that you're claiming it had.
well, how can we speak to impact? I mean, I can't speak to an impact something has on you.
Correct. Absolutely. No,
Yeah.
you cannot. So,
But I can speak to whether or not what you perceived me to have done, I know that I actually did. Okay.
say it again.
Use of the term
If to, the only thing you can address is your intentions were not.
Okay.
That you can. Now, it still impacted them, and whether you want to address that impact,
Whatever that behavior was, my intention was.
correct. I did not intentionally do that to create that impact.
On you.
Correct.
Okay.
Because that's not who I am. That's not the kind of person I am. The opposite is also true. I was doing this for a government agency here in Atlanta, and there was a tiff back and forth, and somebody yelled. Somebody apologized for his behavior, and I think you owe me an apology. Yeah, you can think that all you want, but you can't make somebody give you an apology. So.
You can try it with the use of it.
Yeah. All right. Any final thoughts? Because I think we're over time. I appreciate your attention. Oh, yes. Go ahead.
I just wanted to share that I conducted a conflict resolution where the entire point was to offer an apology.
Wow.
And the challenge was to get the people in the room because one employee had lost her temper
Hmm.
and had called the other employee in public every name in the book.
Wow.
Knew she had lost it, and so the whole point was to get the people in the room. So when I called the employee that had essentially been the victim,
Yes.
she said, give me one reason that I should come to the room.
Yes.
And I said, for any time in your life when you've wanted the opportunity that haven't been given.
Beautiful.
So
Beautiful.
she came to the room.
Oh, that's brilliant.
That apology ended up turned into a conversation that was almost an hour. And we came to resolution.
Beautiful. Absolutely beautiful.
And it's just an example. I've been through your training, and and I'm a trained mediator, and it's just an example of when the process works. It really can be elevated to everything we want
Yes.
in a conflict resolution.
Yes.
When the parties themselves are giving the best of themselves to really reach understanding.
absolutely beautiful. And that is a beautiful story of repair and the power of what we do as a skill and as an industry. Thank you for sharing that. And thanks for coming.